Hello, everybody. Good morning. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. It's a Monday morning, September 11th, 2023, and we have a video right now about Kaitlyn Bristowe warning Charity about the trolls in Bachelor Nation, but we have a little surprise here. Dotun actually gives Kaitlyn advice about what they're doing to heat off any of the hate in Bachelor Nation. And on this day of remembrance, September 11th, 2023, I wanted to share this quote. If we learn nothing else from this tragedy, we learn that life is short and there is no time for hate. And that is Sandy, wife of Flight 93 pilot Jason. Keep that in mind as we cover Bachelor Nation, that there is no room for hate, because that seems to be the general through line of almost every video we make these days, and I'm probably speaking to the choir. Too often we judge others for their imperfections, what they could have done better, their shortcomings, and you can always find shortcomings when you look for them. But I think if we focus on expanding that of which we love, whether it be with a family member, a friend, or find that love and empathy in strangers with eye contact and treating everybody like family, maybe we can all come together and put a little bit more light in this universe. I don't know, folks. Just a thought. Okay, here's what Dotun and Charity had to say. They were interviewed by Kaitlyn Bristowe, good friend of the program, Kaitlyn Bristowe. We've talked to her briefly behind the scenes after her breakup. It looks like she's doing fine, but of course, lots of criticism about who's winning the breakup. And as we know, between Jason Tartick and Kaitlyn Bristowe, the true victory in a breakup like that is that they don't fall to the sort of victimhood nature that happens in breakups. Who's the scorned one? Who did the other person dirty? They tried their best, right? As we always say, with the information they had, and they've done a A+ job so far, sharing their faults and the conversation around that without sabotaging the other person. So we're going to hear from Kaitlyn in this video as she explains how difficult it can be in a public relationship. And then conversely, we've got Dotun and Charity in love in the beginning stages of their relationship. Can they offer Kaitlyn any advice? Someone who's been battle hardened by the Bachelor franchise for 8 years? Maybe not. We'll have to see. And by the way, I'm gonna share this with you in just 2 seconds here. I had to pull up the wrong clip here, but I want to let you guys know I have survived a weekend bee sting. The room that I'm in here in my mobile studio in Rhode Island is what I'm now learning a cemetery for bees. They come in here to die and they're quite angry. We have a bee outbreak and a beekeeper will be arriving. If anyone has a bee helmet, I'm going to be putting, is that a proper term? Bee helmet? I'll be putting it on. And also on today's Patreon, sort of sad news, but it's okay. My wife got sick over the weekend. She's okay and had to miss the wedding that we came for, which is heartbreaking. So I will be sharing that story. Maybe there's a positive ending, but I'll be sharing that story on today's Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal. Sign up for the behind the scenes. And let me tell you something right now. You're gonna want to be a part of this Patreon for the next year or so. We're going to be talking about so many new things, new live streams, so much going on. So definitely get over there, patreon.com/Dave Neal. Here, let's listen to Kaitlyn Bristowe give advice and receive some in return.
Do you guys get obviously recognized now all the time, and are people respectful?
I will say we haven't, everyone we've ran into has been so sweet and so nice. But for me, I feel like now I get way more recognized with him by my side because obviously
well, yeah,
yeah, so they see him.
Yeah.
They're like, wait a second, and they're like, oh, that's them. But no, everyone so far has been so kind. We have not, thankfully, have run into anybody who has been insane.
You probably won't, because those people hide. They don't, everyone's nice when they meet you. It's the people that are hiding that are the loud, mean ones.
Yes.
The keyboard warriors. You know how it is. And, it's talking about the chaos in the public and everyone being so invested in your relationship. Do you feel pressure to act a certain way in public? Because I know these pictures come out and, they look unhappy and blah, blah, blah. And it's
literally
so stupid.
I'm sorry. He's over here screaming my hand. Literally that, because I'm just like, we're just being humans. I don't care. Sometimes I don't feel like I have a resting bitch face, but sometimes I might. And it might just be when I'm with him walking down the street.
Dotun, find out what her resting bitch face is and just be okay with it, because it's going to scare you. You're going to wake up, you're going to see your lady, and you're like, what the hell happened to you? What's wrong? And she's going to be like, what are you talking about? I'm perfectly fine. You're going to be like, all right, never mind. Carry on.
It does not mean that I'm like not happy. I don't know. It's exactly, yes, you bringing that up. I do not feel pressure at all to perform or put on like how I have been during this show, how I am outside of it as we are navigating life. Like, you're going to get Charity Lawson 100% of the time, whether that's the good charity or the bad charity. So be it.
And I think
that's real.
Talked about how we have like a similar like life path in a way, and I'm sure it applies to you too. But for me, like, I've spent so much of my life being comfortable with who I am and in my own skin. There's no way I'm ever gonna let like some stupid person, like, why would I listen to, you know what I'm saying? That's insane. I would never do that.
So Don goes, why would I let some stupid person bring my day down? And Kaitlyn's like, oh boy, I don't know. And I side with Kaitlyn here, where I feel the hate and have a hard time scrubbing it when it happens, and I'm sure Kaitlyn's the same way. This itch that you want to scratch to correct a troll, to find the humanity in a troll, or we say troll, but sometimes they're just normal people, grandmothers and daughters and random men, and sometimes they're not actively trying to sow disarray. They're just an a-hole or passive aggressive or whatever, and it would probably be so much easier to just never respond to them. Ooh, but let me tell you, for those that don't understand, it's an itch that is very hard to lay off sometimes.
So just living life, and just people are going to talk, and of course, like, again, that just comes with the territory. So I think we're both well aware of that. We discuss it like openly and often, and continue to communicate about it. And so it's been, I don't even, that's just funny to me. I'm just like, okay.
I am inspired, #inspired, because I've gone through this for 8 years. So 8 years I've been dealing with love, support, trolls, hate, ups, downs, all the things. And, you know, going through a public breakup brings out the loud people who just are like, you know, people want to pick sides and they want to be on teams. And I'm just like, I'm just over here trying to respect the mutual breakup and just like live my life. And then people are just like, ew, you look way too happy right now. And I'm like, what? I'm not allowed to be happy. Like, you should, I don't know. So I'm inspired because you're like, I don't care what these people think. It's kind of funny to me. I'm like, yeah, what? Kaitlyn, come on. Bitch, figure it out.
Kaitlyn says, come on, bitch, figure it out. And the question is, can you change your personality type where you let things roll off your shoulder or not? And maybe Kaitlyn's just deeper into this game where she's been criticized from so many different angles that the mischaracterizations have gotten the best of her. But maybe the best advice we get are from the newcomers who kind of have an outside, fresh perspective. Let's listen to Dotun's advice.
I mean, it's like, let me ask you this. Are you doing the best you can in this life to be a good person and do good?
Yes.
That's my saying. Not that I created it. Trying the best with the information we have. And Kaitlyn says, yes, I'm trying my best.
Then that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the bottom line. Like, truly. And if you're comfortable with that and you're confident in that, then that's all anyone can do. Mm-hmm. And you just hope that they do the same. So, like, period. I'm sorry.
I love that. Because a lot of people will say, like, oh, don't let them get to you, or they're just, you know, these sad people. But I like the bottom line where it's just like, am I doing my best? Am I being my best self? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, that is the bottom line. And as you two say, period. I like it. Period.
And even in times when, you know, you get criticized for something that's like a misstep, or, you know, it's even in those bad times, like grace. I've always said this, people, it's easy to have grace for someone when they're the hero of the story. But every week in Bachelor Nation, there's a new enemy. How do we look at them, somebody who collectively we've decided did something wrong or not right by societal norms? How do we look at them and give that grace? That's when you truly need it. That's when you truly need to look at someone and say, man, I'm sure they were trying their best. Even in situations where I'm highly critical of people for comments they've made, you go, where were they? Well, they were a human. Maybe their patience was low. Maybe they didn't eat breakfast. They need a Snickers bar. You know, it's hard to know with the world of perfection, specifically as it exists around Bachelor Nation, that there is still kindness out there and that people are still trying to just be their best self and be a human version of, like, if we were all perfect, why would we be here. We're figuring things out. Some folks are brave enough to do it on camera, and some folks who criticize them would never dare put themselves on camera. But you know why? Because you just don't see any of the criticisms coming from other content creators sometimes, but for the most part. And again, when I say I've criticized people, but with compassion, criticize someone's point or their opinion, not necessarily their personality or who they are, right? You can disagree with someone's take on something, but again, it's that mutual respect. How would you talk to them at a cocktail party, or in a coffee shop setting? That's how we need to treat the comment section, because any other way, and it becomes way too toxic.
Okay, I love this because I'm friends with so many guys from my season, and I had such a solid group of guys, and I know that you guys are still friends with Aaron B. And isn't it so funny? Do we still probably call him Aaron B? Like, when do we drop the B?
Literally, I'm like, why am I still calling this man Aaron B? I was supposed to drop that after the last Aaron went home on my season, but no, Aaron B for sure.
Aaron B for life.
Yeah. Who are you the closest to from your guys' season?
It's tough. Like, everyone asks this, and it's like, the thing is, they all just like normal friends play different roles. So like, I don't have a single, like, for instance, Joey, you made it the furthest. He's the most intentional. So like, when it comes to like intentionality and that part of me, which is big, he's the closest. When it comes to like looking at life in a lighthearted way and being able to laugh at things and enjoy life and kind of do good, Tanner is like the closest.
So times have changed that Dotun is closest with Joey, the finalist, when, of course, Kaitlyn Bristow's winner, Sean Booth, would have never picked Nick Viall as his closest friend. So times have changed, seasons have changed, and the tone has changed. But either way, I think it's very therapeutic for Kaitlyn, excuse me, when she's having these conversations, she puts herself out there. So the fact that she can hear some advice from some newbies, it's never a bad thing, as she has to remember, probably religiously, that she needs to not take the internet too seriously and just appreciate and love the ones that are out there in the human form. And I have to take that same advice. Kaitlyn always talks about shopping for pain. I have to remember not to go on threads with my name mentioned and things like that, because it's just not a safe place. It's not a safe place to be when you're being criticized by strangers. The people that matter, they'll text you, they'll DM you if you've done something wrong. Here's an interesting mug. I'm at my parents' house here. I got a mug here that says Spirit, and on the back there's a quote here. Let's see what the quote says, because I just did a Catholic wedding. You guys might know, raised Catholic. Actually have a family member who's a Catholic priest, and it was very nice. And living mainly in a non-Catholic practicing world where I still preach goodness and wanting people to spread the love. But it was nice to go to this Catholic wedding and kind of like go back to my roots and see a lot of family and all of that. So I for those that think I'm overly critical of religion, and of course I think I'm overly critical of people that grift off of religion, but it's just a reminder that love can be found in so many different ways. So here's the quote from the mug. Again, I haven't even read this before. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Galatians 5:22. Is that how you pronounce it? Galatians? Either way, there's your Bible verse for the morning. And again, like I said before, maybe take this day of remembrance to just be extra kind to others out there. You have no idea how much your kindness may matter and may spread on to others. We'll be back with more content and live on Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal, right after this.